into this dimension full on, the very first thing that happens is a big burst of neutrino light. And that's why the National Reconnaissance Office that runs all the really super secret satellite systems up in space wanted this man's invention and system back in the early 70s. So we know that those systems have been used for detection connected to offensive weapon targeting purposes for that long. I think it's a stepping the game up quite a bit. If in fact there is a similar system ground-based at the South Pole. And one thing you mentioned, I want to emphasize, neutrinos go straight through the Earth matter anywhere unimpeded. So the fact that it's on the South Pole doesn't mean that it can only pick up neutrino bursts that are coming from the direction of the South Pole out into space. It can pick it up circumferentially everywhere.
Wow.
Yep.
This is scary because, when an ET, when an ET vehicle, UFO, comes from another dimension, and it pops in, pops out, pops in, pops out, it releases a neutrino. And this is, this is something this is not what I do for a living or anything like that, but just listen to what Stephen Greer is saying. It releases this neutrino release of light, and in the South Pole, the government has a detector that they've weaponized. A neutrino detector that they weaponized. Let me go ahead and continue playing this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I actually have an understanding. My ex-father-in-law passed away, but before he passed away, he had informed me that when he was in the Army way back when, in World War II, he was in very special detail that was working with first microwave line of sight radar. Excuse me. Very special stuff. He was super top secret. They never left the country. And they were ordered to write letters as if they were in the European front.
Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah, well, a lot of people don't realize that these sort of electromagnetic fields and experimentation, these go back to the late 1800s and the early 1900s. If you look at this historically, this is why, I at some point, maybe in the near future, I want to work on a documentary that's a special 2-hour deep dive going back over 100 years on these sort of hidden electromagnetic and related technologies, because obviously they can be used to tap into the so-called 0 point or quantum vacuum and give us free energy and save the biosphere. But I always say this as a medical doctor, emergency doctor, that you can take a knife to put butter on your bread or to slice someone's throat. And unfortunately, the latter is what's been going on in these covert programs, because they've all been hoovered up like a giant vacuum cleaner into covert unacknowledged special access projects and developed for military purposes. And this is an enormous problem, because most of those sort of systems, by the way, if you bring something like this up to someone, in the White House or even most directors of the CIA and or members of Congress and Senate Intelligence Committee, they know absolutely nothing. I mean, when I say nothing, I mean zero about this. That's a problem. I mean, it's a huge problem because there's no oversight on it. So tell us a little bit more of what your research into this has uncovered, and any other people that you've stayed in touch with who have still worked in that facility, and what the status of it now, 10 years on.
I think it's perfect where you were just at, because I think the